Alright, so now we're going to move on to the technology within the row unit. We talked a little bit about the mechanical components a little while ago. Now we're going to move on to some of the electronic portions of the ExactEmerge Row Unit. I'm going to talk through a few things to look for and to check as you might see some issues arise in the field. So first thing you'll notice on this row unit is each row unit is going to have a row unit controller on there. If you start having some weird downforce, or not downforce, but ride quality readings on there, might be something to do with this row unit controller. It kind of just controls the speed and everything of the row unit as commanded by the main planner controller. The next thing is we see that we've got two electric motors. Now these don't go bad too often, but I have seen some instances where they will start to fail, and what you'll see or look for in the row unit is kind of a surge in the row unit, whether it be in the meter or the brush, or sometimes it'll quit altogether. One other thing to look for is we do have this gearbox right here. Check the play in this, move it a little bit and make sure that those gears in there are good and tight. About this much play is probably all right. Any more than that, you're going to want to look at maybe tearing that gearbox apart and looking into that. The next thing on here is this row unit harness. This ties all these components together. So we've got this tying if we have hydraulic downforce, our row unit controller, our motors, our seed tube sensor, and our vacuum sensor if that row unit so has it. So if you're having troubles with your vacuum sensor, what I would recommend doing, if it's maybe giving you a weird reading or you can't calibrate it from the monitor, what you might want to do is move this vacuum sensor to another row and then change it in your display. At that point, you can go through and try to zero it again and make sure it's going to work. It's a lot easier to move that than this row unit harness. If you continue to have trouble with the vacuum sensor, then it's the sensor itself. If not, we might have a faulty wire in this row unit harness, and you might need to have that replaced. If you do have hydraulic downforce, there's going to be two additional connectors coming up to here, and what those are going to be controlling is we've got a sensor on that valve block, and then also a solenoid controlling the downforce there. So with that, we'll move over to this row unit. As you can see, it does have hydraulic downforce on here. Here's our two connectors on the row unit harness. A couple other pieces of technology on the row unit that I want to talk through really quick is we've got pneumatic closing wheels on the back here. We can see we've got the airbag. It is a new closing wheel assembly. Some things to watch for there. As with any air system, just airline leaks coming out from the compressor. We have to have the hydraulic compressor to run these. So if you're having an issue, if you hear that compressor popping off and adding air continuously or releasing air from the system, we probably have a pinch line somewhere. And you can kind of start to diagnose that further. Same thing for up front with these row cleaners. There is a grease point back behind here, and the operator's manual says every 50 hours to give that a couple shots of grease. There's one on each side there to go across the planner. So every few days, jump out there and give that a shot of grease. Same thing as the closing wheels. These are pneumatically controlled. So you have pneumatic up and down, limitless amounts of adjustments that you can make to those. Same thing, controlled by the hydraulic compressor. Both of these options are retrofittable to any electric drive planner. So if you have any questions, get with your salesman or CTS and we can kind of point you in the right direction on what to look for there.